So looking at the articulated pelvis, we can now see the pubic symphysis, which is the joint between the two pubis bones, and we can see the pubic arch, which is the angle being made here on the front. Now the pubic symphysis isn't the only joint you need to identify. You also need to identify the sacroiliac joint between the sacrum and the coxal bone. If I look here on this coxal bone separated, here is the sacroiliac joint here. Another thing you need to be able to tell apart is male versus female pelvises. This one here with this narrowed pubic arch is going to be a male pelvis. Look at that from the difference of this one here, which has a much wider angle, much larger pubic arch. And what that does is that makes this opening here bigger, so a baby's head can actually fit through it easier. If we go back and try to fit a baby head through this one, you'll notice it's a smaller hole and the head's not going to go through, and this person may need a C-section. So this here is a male pelvis, and the other one I showed you was a female. The other way you can tell, though, is if you look at this greater sciatic notch. The males tend to be cut deeper. They look more like they come to a point, like a V. And in the females, they tend to be more gradual, shallower, and it actually looks a little bit more like a U rather than a V shape if I turn it up like that. So this is a female pelvis with that U-shaped greater sciatic notch and that wider pubic arch. Let's take a look at the femur next. Let's start at the proximal end where the hip is made. You have the head, the neck, the greater trochanter, and the lesser trochanter. On the back side here, this roughened ridge is the gluteal tuberosity, where the gluteus maximus muscle will anchor down. Let's go to the distal end that makes the knee, and we have these condyles and epicondyles, but you need to know medial from lateral. So let me scoot back down and remind you that heads point into the body. So heads are on the medial side of the body. Now, the femur head here, being the medial side, means that this is the medial side, and that's the medial condyle, that's the medial epicondyle. This is the lateral condyle, this is the lateral epicondyle. And I realized that I left off on the humerus, the medial and lateral epicondyle. So let's look at that too with the humerus, because you have the head here, which is on the medial side. So this is the medial side of the bone. And then here, do you see this bump here and there? These are the epicondyles. Since this is on the same side as the head, that's the medial epicondyle. And this one over here then would be the lateral epicondyle on the humerus. On the femur, orient you again. So this is the side where the head is on. So this is the medial condyle, medial epicondyle, lateral condyle, lateral epicondyle. And in between is this notch between the condyles. So we call it the intercondylar notch. Moving on down to the lower leg, we've got the tibia, which is the thicker bone, T for thick. And on the front here are a couple of bumpy ridges we call the tibial tuberosity, where the tendon that wraps up the patella will attach. And on top here, you'll need to learn the medial and lateral condyles. It'll be easier to keep them apart if you can remember on the distal end here, this is making up part of the ankle. You've got this here is the inside ankle, the medial malleolus. So if that's the inside ankle, medial malleolus, then that's the medial side of the bone. So if we scoot back down here a little bit, this is the same side as that medial malleolus, so this is the medial condyle. And over here then would be the lateral condyle. For the fibula will be the fine bone, and we're going to need to tell apart the head of the fibula here from the lateral malleolus down here. The head tends to be a little bit more squished down, shorter. The lateral malleolus that makes up the outside ankle has more of a teardrop, more of elongated, slender, pointy part to it. So this is the lateral malleolus, and then this is the head of the fibula. All right, don't forget to go back and review your bones for the hand. We don't have any landmarks that we're doing. However, we are doing the phalanges, metacarpals, trapezium, scaphoid, and lunate. And on the foot, we are doing a couple of the tarsals. We're learning the talus, calcaneus, the metatarsals, and phalanges there.